Hello everyone, today I am Nikanpal working in DP Salwani Ramachar as English TGT. In today's video, I'll explain you chapter 8, the hack driver from Footprints Without Feet. This story is written by Sinclair Lewis. Sinclair Lewis was a famous American short story writer, novelist and playwright. He was the first American writer who received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1930. So student, it is a very interesting story. In this story, the hack driver. Here the hack means the cart driver. The cart driver made fool to a young lawyer. So in this story, a young lawyer, he went to New Orleans to give summons to Oliver Lutkin. So when he reached there, he met a person named Bill. Bill, the hack driver. So they became good friends. The Bill, or we can say the hack driver, helped him to search Oliver Lutkins. So let's read the story and find who was Oliver Lutkins, or whether the narrator find the Oliver Lutkin.
The Hack Driver is a beautiful story written by Sinclair Lewis. Student, what do you mean by the hack driver? Hack driver means the cab driver, or we can say the car driver, a person who drives for living. Here is the story of a cab driver. It is an interesting story of a cunning person called Bill. He made a plan to befool the lawyer. So we'll read the story and I'll explain you the chapter. About the author, Harry Sinclair Lewis was an American novelist, short story writer and playwright. In 1930, he became the first writer from the United States to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature. He was awarded for his vigorous and graphic art of description of his ability to create with wit and humor new types of characters. So students, now I'll explain you the entire story line by line. After graduating with honors, I became a junior assistant clerk in a magnificent law firm. So here the narrator is saying that after completing his graduation with honors, he got selected for a job of junior assistant clerk in a very famous law firm. What do you mean by law firm? Law firm means a company that deals with legal issues. I was sent not to prepare legal briefs. What do you mean by legal brief? Legal brief means a written legal documents, but to serve summons like a cheap private detective. And what do you mean by summons? Summon means an order given by court to some people for some cases, like a cheap private detective. So the narrator was not got the job as a lawyer or to write legal brief, but instead of that, he got a very small job to deliver a court order to some people, just like a cheap private detective. I had to go to dirty and shadowy corners of the city to seek out my victims. So for his job, most of the time he had to go different part of town and city which were dark. Shadowy means dark, and dirty, which were not good place to visit, because there in those places always he found that criminals were living. Some of the larger and the more self-confident ones even beat me up. I hated this unpleasant work and the sight of city life it revealed to me. Sometime when he used to go to call these people and he found them, those were very thugs and powerful people. They even used to beat him up, and he was not able to give them summons. He also saying that he didn't like his job pleasant, and he didn't like to visit such places where the criminals were living, and he also had to face difficult situations many times. I even considered fleeing to my hometown where I could have been a real lawyer right away. So here the narrator is saying sometime he felt like to run away to his hometown where he could work as a real lawyer without going through this unpleasant training, because he didn't like his work of unpleasant training. What is unpleasant training here? Here the unpleasant training means to give summons. because he didn't like that job. So he wanted to fly his hometown, there he could work as a real lawyer. So I rejoiced one day when they sent me out 40 miles in the country to a town called New Mullen. So one day he was very happy. Rejoice means happy. He was very happy because the firm sent him 40 miles away from the country to a town called New Mullen to serve someone on a man called Oliver Lutkin. So he had to serve someone to a man called Oliver Lutkin. We needed this man as a witness in law case and he had ignored all our letters. So why did the narrator was being sent to Oliver Lutkins? Because the court had sent many letters to Oliver Lutkins, but he always ignored all the letters. He didn't present himself in front of the judge because he was the witness in some law case. In some case, he was the witness. When I got to New Million, my eager expectations of a sweet and simple country village were severely disappointed. When the narrator got a chance to go 40 miles away from countryside, he was very happy because he thought now he didn't visit such a shadowy and dark places. He was expecting some beautiful place he was going, but when he reached there, his expectation of sweet and simple country village were severely disappointed. He was very unhappy. Why was he unhappy? Because its streets were rivers of mud with rows of wooden shops, either painted or sharp brown or bare of any paint at all. Because the streets because the streets were in bad conditions and they were full of mud. The shops were also very dull and some of the shops were not painted as well. The only agreeable sight about the place was the delivery man at the station. So one sight he was very happy to see one sight that what was that? That he saw a delivery man at the station. He was about 40, red faced, cheerful, and thick about the middle. Now the narrator is giving the description of the delivery man. His age was 40 and his face was red and he was looking cheerful. He was thick. Thick means he was fatty. So the narrator was happy to see the delivery man at the station. His working clothes were dirty and well worn. Well worn means old. So the clothes that the delivery man was wearing was dirty and old. And he had a friendly manner, but he was friendly. You felt at once that they liked people. At the first moment, you can feel that he liked the people. I told him to find a man named Oliver Lutkins. So he told the delivery man that he was looking for a Oliver Lutkin. Lutkins, I saw him around here about an hour ago. So immediately he said Lutkins. To him he saw before an hour. Hard fellow to catch though, always up to something or other. Then the delivery man said to the narrator, it was very difficult to find him because he was always busy with some work or something or other. He's probably trying to start up a poker game. Poker game means a kind of card game in the back of Fritz's shop. Then he said he might be at the Fritz shop because he was starting a new game, that is a poker game in the Fritz shop at the back of the Fritz. I'll tell you, boy, is there any hurry about locating Lutkins? Then the delivery boy asked the narrator whether he was in hurry to find Lutkins. Yes, I want to catch the afternoon train back to the city. Then immediately narrator replied yes, because he had to catch the afternoon train to go back to his city. It was very important and secret about it. Then the delivery boy said about the importance and the secret about it. I'll tell you what, I have got a hack. Then he said to the narrator that he got a card. I'll get I'll get it out and we can drive around together and find. Then the delivery man said, I'll get it out, and they both could drive around together and find the Lutkin. I know the most of the places he hangs out. So he also told the narrator because he knew most of the places where he spent his free time. He was so open and friendly that I glowed with the warmth of his affection. So the narrator was very happy with the warm affection of the delivery man because he was so open and friendly. I knew, of course, that he wanted the business. The narrator said he knew that he was making some business with him, but his kindness was real, but his nature was very real. He was very kind. I was glad the fair money would go to the good fellow, and I was happy that the money he would pay for his business would go to the right fellow, good fellow. I managed to bargain down $2 an hour. Then afterwards, he managed the bargain down and he paid $2 per hour. And then he brought from his house nearby a sort of large black box on wheels. And they went to his house, which was nearby, and from his house he brought a short large black box on wheel, that means cart. He remarked, Well, young man, here's the carriage. Then he said to the narrator, Here's the carriage. And his sweet smile made me into an old friend. And he gave a wide smile to the narrator, and it was seems like that he was his old friend. These villagers are so ready to help a stranger. So the narrator is saying these villagers were very always ready to help a stranger. He had already made it his own task to find Oliver Lutkins for me. And he also said that the deliver boy had already made his task to find Oliver Lutkins for the narrator. He said, I don't want to interfere, young fellow. Then the delivery boy said to the narrator that he didn't want to intervene in his business, interfere in his matter. But my guess is that you want to collect some money from Lutkins. Then he said that according to his guess, that he wanted to collect some money from Lutkins. He never pays anybody a cent. Then he said that the Lutkins never pay anybody a cent. He still owe me 50 cents on a poker game. I was fool enough to play with him. Then he said that he is still owe means he be in a debt. That once he took 50 cents from the delivery boy on a poker game and he was made fool to play with him. He's not really bad, but it's hard to make him part with his money. Then he said that he started giving explanation about him, that he was not really bad man, but it was very difficult to take out money from Oliver Lutkin. If you try to collect from him in those fancy clothes, he will be suspicious and get away from you. Then the delivery man started giving warning to the narrator that don't go in such fancy clothes in front of Lutkins, so that he would found him suspicious and he would run away. If you want, I'll go into Fitz and ask for him, and you can keep out of sight behind me. Then he suggested the narrator to stay behind him, and he would go into Fitz and ask for him. I loved him for this, and the narrator was very impressed by his behavior. By myself, I might never have found Lutkins. Then he said to himself that he alone could not find the Lutkins. With the hack driver's knowing help, I was sure of getting my man. And with the help of hack driver, or we can say with the help of Deliveryman, he was sure that he was definitely get Mr. Lutkin. I took him into my confidence and told him that I wanted to serve the summon on Lutkins. Then the narrator said he took the deliveryman or the hack driver in his confidence and told him the truth behind the search of Lutkins. He said he didn't come there to collect the money. Instead of that, he came there to serve the summon on Lutkins. That the man had refused to be a witness when his information would have quickly settled our case. Then he told that this man, Lutkin, had refused to be a witness because he was a witness of some case, and his information would have quickly settled their case. The driver listened. The driver listened honestly. Honestly means sincerely. At the end, he hit me on the shoulder and laughed. Well, we will give Brother Lutkins a little surprise. The driver listened sincerely, and at the end, he hit the narrator on his shoulder and laughed. Well, they'll both give Lutkins a little surprise. Let's start, driver. Most folks here call me Bill or Magnuson. So they start their search for Lutkins, and the hack driver said to the narrator that most of the people there called him Bill or Magnuson. My business is called William Magnuson Fancy Carting and Hacking, and his business was called as William Magnuson Fancy Carting and Hacking. All right, Bill, shall we proceed to Fids? Then he said, Okay, Bill. Should they proceed to Fids? Yes, Lutkin is just as likely to be there as anywhere. Then he said Lutkin can be found anywhere. Plays a lot of poker because he played lot of poker. He is good at deceiving people. Bill seemed to admire Lutkin's talent for dishonesty. And he giving explanation about the Lutkin that he was good at deceiving people, and Bill seemed to be admiring his talent for dishonesty. I felt that if he had been a policeman, he would have caught Lutkin respectfully and jailed him with regret. Then the narrator felt that if the hack driver had been a policeman and if he would have caught Lutkin respectfully and put him and he felt regret to put him behind the bar. Bill led me into Fitz. Then Bill took the narrator to Fitz. Have you seen Oliver Lutkins around today? Then he asked that whether he had seen the Oliver Lutkins that day. Friend of his looking for him. Then he said his friend was looking for him. Said Bill cheerily. Fitz looked at me, hiding behind Bill. Then the Fitz looked at the narrator, who was hiding behind the Bill. He hesitated and then admitted. First he hesitated and he didn't say anything, but afterwards he spoke and he accepted. Yes, he was in here a little while ago. Then he spoke that he was there before. Guess he has gone over to Gustav's to get a shave. Then he said might be he had gone to Gustav's place to have a shave. Well, if he comes here in, tell him I am looking for him. Then the Bill said to the Fitz, if he would come here, then tell him he was looking for him. We drove to Gustav's Barber Shop. Then afterwards they drove to the Gustav. Gustav is a place of barber shop. Again Bill went in first and I lingered at the door. And again the Bill went into the shop first and the narrator was lingered. Lingered means was waiting at the door. He asked not only the suite but to customers if they had seen Lutkins. Then he not only asked the Gustav, the Swedish man, but also the two customers there whether they had seen Lutkins. The Swede had not, he said angrily. I haven't seen him and I don't care to. Then the Swede in angrily he said he didn't see him and he didn't take care of him. But if you find him, you can just collect that $35 he owes me. Then he said to the bill, if he would find him, then he could collect $35 that he took from the sweet person. One of the customers thought he had seen Lutkins walking down Main Street this side of the hotel. That one of the two customers said, and he said that he thought that he had seen Lutkins walking down Main Street that side of the hotel. So they didn't find Lutkins at Gustav's shop, the barber shop. As we climbed back into the hack, Bill concluded that since Lutkins had exhausted his credit at Gustav's shop, he had probably gone to Grace for a shave. Then again they sat into the hack. Then Bill came into the conclusion that since the Lutkins had over with his credit at Gustav's shop, maybe he had gone to Grace's barber shop for his shave. At Grace's barber shop, we missed Lutkins by only 5 minutes. When they reached at Grace's barber shop, and they were told by the people that Lutkin had just left. He had just left, probably for the playroom. And they missed the Lutkins again, the difference of 5 minutes. And the people of there said he probably had gone to pool room. At the pool room, it appeared that he had just bought a pack of cigarettes and gone out. And when they reached to the pool room, it seemed that he had just bought a pack of cigarettes and went from there. So we pursued him, we just behind him, but never catching him. So that the narrator was saying that he was pursuing him, but and just behind him, but never catching him. For an hour till it was past 1 o'clock. So last 1 hour they both were searching and catching the Lutkins, but they were not able to catch the